to Sermon a Day. I am Pastor Tom Estes, and this is your 5-minute sermon for February 1st, 2013. The title of today's message is, What Are You Passionate About? In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 2, Paul, the apostle, says this, For I determined not to know anything among you, save Jesus Christ and Him crucified. What a testimony that is of the apostle Paul. And that verse may not say very much to you, but it says a lot to me. Because as a preacher, it seems at times that we want to show off acumen about things that don't matter. We want to show that we have sense in business. We talk sports with people. We know statistics. We talk about our government all the time. And I'm not saying that any of those things are inherently sinful, because they're not. But for the Apostle Paul, it was about Christ. I can't imagine somebody who listened to the Apostle Paul preach, walk up to him afterward and ask him if he saw the latest sporting event. I just don't think anybody would. I think his testimony was so powerful that they would know. Paul doesn't waste time with such nonsensical things, and that's all they are. Paul was a man who cared about his ministry, he cared about the Lord, he cared about souls. And that was what his conversation was. And the only thing that Paul ever showed any passion about was the things of the Lord. And I just say, as preachers and as Christians, that ought to be our testimony. Somebody ought not to be able to find so much camaraderie with us concerning our favorite sports team, or what our hobbies are, that's the only thing that we talk about. We ought to be able to converse mainly about the things of the Lord. It ought to be what drives you when you get up in the morning. It ought to be what excites you. The Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. A lot of people are going to be very excited about that game. We shouldn't be excited about it as a Christian. Does that mean if your service is over and you go home and turn the game on and you enjoy it, does that mean it's a sin? No, I don't think it is. I'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably turn it on. But that shouldn't be what drives us. You know, we shouldn't be rushing out of church Sunday night because we want to get to the Super Bowl. And better yet, we definitely shouldn't be canceling our evening service just so we can get to the Super Bowl. That ought to be just something on the periphery. The thing that motivates us and drives us ought to be Christ. And really, I think what will show us how much Christ matters to us is, are we willing to suffer for Him? Are we willing to go through anything at all for Christ? I want to read you a little story. It's out of the Fox's Book of Martyrs, and there's a lot of such stories we could read, but I wanted to share this one to you. This is a young Englishman who happened to be at Rome, was one day passing by a church when the procession of the host was just coming out. So a group of people had come out of a church. A bishop carried the host, which the young man perceiving, he snatched it from him. The host was, just a little cracker. Snatched it from him, threw it on the ground, and trampled it under his feet, crying, Ye wretched idolaters, who neglect the true God to adore a morsel of bread. This action so provoked the people that they would have torn him to pieces on the spot. But the priest persuaded him to let him aside by a sentence of the Pope. Here's what the Pope sentenced him to. The Pope said that he should be led by an executioner, naked and walking through the streets of Rome. The Pope said that he should wear the image of the devil upon his head. The Pope said that his whatever clothing they do have, his breeches, should be painted with a representation of flames. So that he should have his right hand cut off, and that after being carried about this procession, he should be burnt. Now, consider this. When this sentence was pronounced upon him, here's what he said. He prayed that God would give him strength and fortitude to go through it. And the story goes on to say that when he was chained and about to be burnt, he kissed the chains. You see, that's a young man, we don't even know his name. But that's a young man that all he cared about was Christ. All he cared about was God. He didn't care about the trifling things of the world. He didn't care about being the coolest, the smartest, the most popular. He didn't care about any of those things. And those are all things that plague young and old men alike. Those are things that plague Christians and preachers. Preachers want to be popular. But this, guy like this, he didn't care about that. He just cared about his Lord. He cared about serving God. A man like Paul, he didn't care about that. You just care about serving God. And I think about us, what are we passionate about? What drives us? What motivates us? I hope you'll give that some real serious thought. What are you passionate about? All right, so that was your sermon for February 1st, 2013. I just want to thank everybody for watching these videos, and just want to ask you to pray for me as I do these videos. My goal is to get through not just the first month of January, but get through all 12 months of 2013, and I just ask you, if you're willing, to pray for me that I'll be able to do that. And I also want to encourage you, check out our website, southsidewinterhaven.com. And also, please, if you're ever in the Winter Haven, Florida area, we would just love to have you come and be a part of our services. God bless you, and have a great day.